Welcome to B.A.Showoff, the Dance Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Becky.
And I'm Alexandra.
And today we're here with the beautiful, talented Nicole Dias.
Hi.
Hi. All right, Nicole. So, audience doesn't know you, so let's talk a little bit about you and your dance journey. So tell us a little bit about your dance and how you started.
Oh my gosh, it's quite the journey. I started dance when I was 3, and I also did soccer at the time, so I was kind of battling do I want to keep dancing? Do I want to do soccer? So that was a battle in my family because it was kind of like my mom against my dad. My dad wanted me to do soccer. My mom wanted me to do dance. But eventually I stuck to it. I joined the Southwood dance team. I joined Coral Reef Cudettes, and now I'm joining the Ohio State dance team.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
So you started dancing middle school or before middle school?
I started dancing before middle school at Focal Point Dance Studios since I was 4 years old. And before that, I went to another dance studio called The Bar that unfortunately closed down. So my brother actually inspired me to change studios and find what was right for me. So I joined Focal Point, and then some girls out in Focal Point were on the Southwood dance team. So they kind of encouraged me to join that.
Yeah, and so then you started dance team at Southwood.
Yes, I did.
And you went to UDA as a middle school student.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that now.
I know. So now you think about it, it was, 6 years of going to UDA? And how many white jackets do you have?
I have, I think, 6.
Nice.
Or 8. 8. I have 8.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, that is crazy.
It never gets old.
No, never.
No. So, and Nicole's brother, for those that don't know, is Andrew Mullet, which is
my jazz
Alexandra's
choreographer.
choreographer. And this year you got to help her a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say she got to help us.
Which, that was a cool experience.
And were you thinking, now after doing some choreography with Andrew, is that kind of the journey that you want to take with dance?
I did think that for some time, that, well, maybe I'll follow in his footsteps. I'll join industry and work with all these big artists and choreograph for them, hopefully. But as I kind of to explore that, I don't think it's really for me. I kind of like the assistant job where I could kind of help out in any way that I can and not just have the driving wheel, kind of being the passenger seat in it all. That's kind of how I like to incorporate my style into it.
And you're a big studio dancer, so you've been doing studio conventions and competitions, and so you're also in Intrigue, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's been an amazing experience. That has also opened me up to the choreo kind of aspect of dance, and it's been so fun getting to choreograph on different dancers from all over the world. It's really great.
That's awesome. I mean, what do you think has been the biggest difference between choreographing for a dance team and then choreographing for, assisting when you go to these conventions or these studio trained choreographers?
I think the biggest thing is the structure of the dances in the studio world. It's so much more freedom to kind of just honestly just do whatever. You can just put the craziest dances on stage and make an impact on any dancer in the audience. And dance team kind of the same, but there's more limitations set on it, which is kind of difficult for choreographers and even assistant choreographers when when Andrew was asking me oh, what formation could I do? That was just it's crazy because usually I'm asking him the questions, and since I'm from the dancing world, he's not very educated on it. Him asking me questions is just kind of crazy because I'm always the one to ask him what should I do next, and getting all this advice from him is just so crazy. So for him to have to ask me the questions because I have that dance team background and he doesn't was really cool.
So let me ask you, how did you decide that you wanted to keep going into this dance team world? So, when you first started dancing, you were in middle school, did you think, oh, dance team is something I want to keep doing, or do I want to be a professional dancer? And then now it's shifted and now you are into this dance team world. So how did all that come about?
So when I was on the Southwood dance team, there was always I think you talked about this in one of your past podcast, was that the 2 biggest schools for dance in Miami are New World and Reef. So I was between the 2. I spun some wheels. I was oh, I feel those generated wheels that you're oh, you put New World and Reef and then you spin it and then it picks one for you, and it kept landing on New World, and I was super resistant on it. I was there was something drawing me to Reef, and if it weren't for Reef, I wouldn't have been exposed to Tribe. And Tribe Miami my junior year, when they came to Reef, I was oh, like, what is this? Like, what? I didn't know that there was, like, a convention, but, like, dance team style. And it was super cool to be introduced to, like, that world. And even then I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I never expected me to be opened up to the dance team world past high school. So when I joined Reef and I went to the tribe and I got that experience, I fell in love with it. I love Sammy, I love Carson. They had a Q&A that there were so many questions and answers that I had no idea. Like,
because here in Miami, it's not the norm. It's not the dance team world is not something you do in college.
Yeah.
So
it's
kids
just
here in Miami don't do
starting
that.
to open up a little bit now with UM, but otherwise we really don't have these big teams that go off into UDA.
Yeah, and I never thought it was in the cards for me. Like, I've been watching college dance teams since Southwood time, since middle school, and I never thought I would ever even, like, have any chance of even touching that area of the dance world. So the fact that I even got to high school was just, like, such a blessing, and I'm so excited for the near future.
So tell us a little bit about your actual journey with, looking into the colleges. So junior year, you were exposed, in the beginning of your junior year, exposed to Tribe, and they kind of, like, opened your eyes to what this was about. So what did you do at that point?
At that point, I talked to you, and you kind of encouraged me to start looking at other schools, and specifically Ohio, since you work with Melissa, and I guess she had seen me from my sophomore year and kind of made some comments about me. You were like, you should go for it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, if I'm going to go for a dance team, I don't know if I'm going to go for that big and that high. I never thought, again, it was in the cards for me. But then I ended up going to my first clinic with Ella in October, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the school, the team, the girls, every aspect about it. About Ohio, like, really drew me to that specific school. And then I started getting in contact with other coaches and visiting other colleges like LSU, FSU, UCF, all these amazing colleges everywhere, and I loved all the teams. At the end of the day, it came down to the school in itself, like the campus and the professors and the facilities, which a lot of dancers nowadays, they don't really take that into consideration. They kind of judge it off of, like, how colleges do at nationals, like who are the top 3 teams. But there's so many teams out there that some kids don't look at and don't branch out and go to their clinics. And I went to so many clinics, and I'm so glad I did, that I got to see every single team and really ensure, like, what I wanted for
And
my
you got
future.
to compare. You got to say, like, this school has this
Yeah.
one had that. And really, I think that a turning point for you was going to the Tribe Combine, which was in Arizona, and you got lucky because you got recruited to be able to go there. So how did that happen, and how did that work out?
Oh my gosh, so the first Tribe event in Miami my junior year, I had gotten a scholarship for the registration process for the Combine. I had no idea what it was at the time. I had to ask so many questions, reach out to so many people to find out what this event was. And I ended up going with the 2 Mias on our team, and it was the craziest experience. Nothing like it before. It was like UDA camp times 10, because UDA camp always makes me nervous for some reason, even though it's, like, for fun. But it's kind of like the start of the year. It's what sets you up for the rest of the year. So when I went to the Combine, it was very nerve-wracking. But when the first day, right off the bat, they kind of calmed our nerves. They talked us through the whole weekend. We took master classes the first day. The second day, we took even more master classes, and we did technique stuff, and they kind of prepped us for, like, the last day where the colleges watch us. And then the last day, it was super cool because all the colleges got to watch us perform these combos and perform these technique skills across the floor. And then at the end, we got the opportunity to talk to all of them, which was kind of a big turning point for me, because that was, like, all the colleges in one spot. That's so hard to find.
It's like an express lane.
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
get to interview the colleges themselves too.
Yeah, all in one spot. I feel like that's very rare to find, so I'm very grateful to Tribe for offering that event for dancers like me who don't know what the dancing world is like and don't have the opportunity to go to all these colleges all these weekends, because my schedule was very packed with doing studio,
And
with
it's expensive.
dancing.
I mean, going to all these, every time you fly somewhere and you
Yeah.
spend a weekend
Yeah.
there, it's expensive. You can't go by yourself. You have to go with your parent.
Yeah.
So it does, help in that sense. You get to, like, break it down and say, okay, these 5 schools were, like, the coaches that I liked or the ones that I liked.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think that Tribe is an incredible experience.
So, Nicole, can you talk to us a little bit about your experience with the Tribe 99 Combine, specifically in Arizona? I know that it was this big event. For those that don't know, it's a big event hosted by Tribe 99 that it basically brings all the colleges together and allows kids to be exposed to all of these different colleges. So can you talk to us a little bit about what your process was throughout that weekend?
Absolutely. So first we had to submit videos online of like technique skills and combos that we bring from home, and we had to send that in. And there's also like a separate submission to be an expo dancer, which the Mias and I got the experience to be part of, which is super cool because we had really great opportunities apart from like the separate combine dancers, which is super cool. So when we actually got there, the first day we learned the jazz combo, the hip hop combo, and we had little like talking sessions of like Q&As, questions we had to ask like Carson or like any Tribe faculty, which was very very warming and comforting because the combine it's a very stressful weekend for dancers. But the first day was honestly like the best for me because it was the most exciting, learning the combos and talking to them was super cool. Then the second day we learned the palm combo, we learned the technique across the floor, even more Q&As, and they kind of told us like how the last day was gonna go, which was when all the coaches came and they did their intros. We performed combos, like I believe like 10 at a time. We would like switch lines, do every combo twice, and then when we do that combo, then we would go to another gym, and they would be recorded for the technique score that we got at the end of the combine, which was also super cool to kind of show me where I'm at and what I had to work on after the combine. And then at the end, we got to talk to the colleges one-on-one, which was my favorite part because I got to branch out to different schools and ask them a bunch of questions that would be like, oh, like, maybe that's not the school for me, or like, oh, yes, like I want to go and look at that school and go to their clinic. So that experience was honestly amazing.
How many college coaches were there, approximately?
I think like 50 plus. There had to have been more than 50 because there were so many tables, and I think they had said it in the beginning too, that they had to spread them out in 2 different gyms.
Yeah. I remember one of the coolest things about being there too is that they also had, most of the schools also had girls from their team there too. So I feel like you being able to ask the girls on the team about their experience was probably also really cool.
Yeah, super cool, because then we could ask them like, oh, what's your day-to-day like? Or what kind of styles do you guys train in like off season? Because I know like some teams, like I think Ohio does, is after they're done with nationals, they kind of go into like a studio like structure where they take master classes almost every day. And then I found out like if any schools perform at any games for like their sporting events and stuff, which is really cool.
Okay, so how many dancers are there at the combine?
Oh my gosh, the room was packed. I think there was over 400 kids.
And it gets sold out because from what I remember, it was sold out quickly.
In minutes. I think last year was like in 7 minutes. This year was like in 3. It's very high.
And you having that like little express pass to register was a blessing because,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like I know a couple of my kids got it this year too, and like they were able to go in like I think an hour before.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, they probably wouldn't have been able to register.
Yeah, and the only way you get that express pass is by going back to one of the regionals.
Yeah,
right?
To the tours, I think.
So you have to go to the tour in order to kind of stand out and be seen and be able to get that scholarship. So you got it that first year.
Yes.
And then did you do it a second time? Did you go to the combine twice?
Only once,
No.
but I am going this year.
You're going anyway?
Yeah, I'm going anyway. Just to like kind of support like the other Cudettes who are going, and just to be for fun.
Are you
it's
going
in Texas,
to like
so.
help and work, or are you going to actually, you signed up and you're taking classes?
I talked to Melissa about it, and she did want me at the table, so I guess
Nice.
we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
Nice.
that would be a great opportunity.
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's great because now you've gotten 2 perspectives of being there in the combine. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I guess with Tribe, like the way you've connected with them, wanting to assist choreography wise, it's a great way to do that because you've got that connection now with Carson that you could maybe go and help. Hey, Carson.
Yeah.
All right, so now tell us then, okay, so you went to Tribe, you connected with Melissa. What was the next step? because you didn't just go straight into Ohio. Okay, I'm in. There was a process. So
Yes.
what was the next step?
So after that was the summer, which is when I signed up for the Ohio State Summer Clinic, and I went to Dance Awards where they had a college audition day. And lucky me, Ohio State was there, and that's where I got my recruitment invitation. And then I went in October. I went to LSU, UCF, and Ohio. And I also video submissions. Obviously, that's a very important part of the process. They were due June 1st this year, and that was very nerve-wracking for me.
That is super early.
Yeah, because I was kind of involved with Ella's process, which she was a senior from the previous year. Hers was due, I think, in like October, November, and I was just very nervous. I was like, oh, what if like I take the summer and I get better and I can better my videos from like when I had submitted it. But I mean, I had no choice. I had to submit them. So I submit my videos. I went to a Dance Awards and I got my invitation. Then I went to Ohio in the summer, and that was a super cool experience because there were so many amazing choreographers that they brought, which was like one of the things that draws me to Ohio is that they have like, I like their selection and like who they're bringing in, which is very appealing to me because like in Miami it's so hard to bring down all those choreographers from like LA, and like because we go to a public school, our budget is very limited. So
okay, so is the Dance Awards the only way that you can get that recruitment invitation for Ohio? So like if I don't go to the Dance Awards, is there other ways I can do it, or is that the only way?
The Ohio State coaches, they go to many events. They've gone to Nuvo, they've gone to Tribe where you can get recruited. There's so many different places and ways, even over social media. They see your videos and they like it, they can reach out to you and be like, oh, I would love for you to come to my school. So that's not the only way. I just got lucky that they had come to the Dance Awards the one year that I went, and they offered me that.
Well, and it's probably really important to overexpose yourself. So the more places you go, the more opportunity that's given to you as you like, you know, go and approach, especially this recruitment process.
Absolutely. I went to so many different events like the Dance Awards, any like studio events, and also dance teams. So it's so important to also be your best self in every single event because you never know who's watching.
Absolutely.
1000%.
Never.
And then for the other schools like LSU and UCF, FSU, did you get recruited by them too, and how did that happen?
I was offered a recruitment weekend for UCF and LSU at the Tribe 99 Combine, and they had emailed me following up and asking me for some information. We were in contact for a while, and then finally in October is when I went 3 back-to-back weekends to UCF, Ohio, and LSU, and I got to experience all that. And
which is
compare
cool.
them.
Yeah, you got to compare.
Yeah.
This is what this is like. This is what see each school, and I don't think everybody gets that. They don't understand what a big process that could be. So, and the recruitment weekends, how were each one of them?
So first with UCF, they took us to a football game, and they took us to all their facilities, and we kind of followed the dancers around to see what their day was like on game day. And then we had a clinic the next day with Paris Cav and Naja and all these amazing choreographers that we got to learn from. And then, yeah, it was a bunch of different aspects about it that was super cool that I had no idea that they do. Pretty much same thing with Ohio. They had like a whole kind of PowerPoint kind of laying down like what is expected of you if you were to make the team, any like financial aspects, any school things that we needed to know. They took us to a game. We got to see the stadium without anyone in it, which was super cool, take our cute little pictures. And then we also had a bunch of master classes the next day, and pretty much same thing with LSU.
And what drew you, like, those were 3 schools. What drew you to go to those 3 schools, like to look at them? Was there something specific about each one that you liked?
Their coaches. Like from when I went to the Combine and I talked to all these coaches, these 3 coaches or like coach teams, because a lot of them have multiple coaches, I connected with them like right off the bat, and them 3 just really stuck out to me. I love Joyce, I love Abby, I love London, I love Candace, I love Melissa, Pat, Katie. Like all of them are just such amazing people that really drew me to looking out to their schools.
Yeah, that's important because, you know, you spend a lot of time with the coaches, so
yeah,
that is important.
And I think them reaching out to you and having that interest in you is such an important thing. And I think that that's something that a lot of people who are going through the recruitment process forget, that you also want to put your eggs in the basket of the schools that are just as interested in you as you are with them. And I think that's what creates that marriage with, with the right school for you. When you love a school and the school loves you too.
Yeah, and it starts with communication. Like, I don't think any of these schools would have even known who I was if I wouldn't have reached out to them. If I wouldn't have reached out to my coach to reach out to them. If I wouldn't have posted on social media, tagging them, trying their challenges. Like, all these little things that you can do to get your face and name out there are so important.
If a dancer tells you, or if somebody says, oh, I don't want to be pushy, what do you tell them? Because you could feel like you're being pushy. Like, you could be like, oh, I'm emailing too much. I'm sending, too many videos. Or what would you tell them?
Kind of base it off of, like, how they're responding. Like, if they're not responding to you at all, maybe try, because I know some people have reached out to me about this before, and they say I emailed the coaches, but coaches have so many emails coming in from, like, all the different things that they do. They don't usually check that, and it's hard to go through all of that and take your time to respond to. They get the same emails probably 1,000,000 times a day. So maybe trying different ways to reach out, like through social media, Instagram, DMing, or tagging them and waiting for them to respond back. And if it gets to a point where they're just not responding, then you say, it's okay, this school isn't meant for me, and you move on to the next.
Yeah, because, it is, sometimes it's like a little fine line of when is it too much?
Yeah.
And, just being comfortable with knowing, I'm putting myself out there, it's okay. But then, okay, that's it. I've done a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I feel like, especially when it comes to, like, asking the coaches questions, like, you also want to approach it as, is this something that is on the internet that I could read, or is this something that really does, I really do need a direct answer from the coach? I think if you go to the coach with a purpose, it does help. And, I feel like in the past I've had dancers who have been like, oh, just wanted to let you know I took this class today. Yay. Mm-hmm. It's, maybe you don't need to say what you're doing at all times, but come to the coach with a purpose. And I think that if you go to them with those specific things, it probably gives them a little bit more of a reason to respond to.
Yeah. And I think also following up with the coaches, like if you went to the recruitment weekend, following up afterwards, thank you so much, it was a great weekend, like maybe pick out something specific that happened that weekend that, makes the coach remember you and, that kind of stood out to you, but like that the coach could connect you and say, oh, I remember that one, or I remember her and she was great. And just, just a little thing. Because again, coaches are seeing hundreds and hundreds of people. Why are they going to remember you? Mm-hmm. So, okay. So now tell us about your Ohio State recruitment and acceptance and all that.
Oh my gosh. So, right off the bat from when I first went, I had this gut feeling that this is where I need to be. This is where I belong. These are the people I need to surround myself with. This is the environment I want to be in. This is the school I want to go to. And from then on, like, I kept begging my mom, when can I go next? Like, I did so much research on the clinics and the school in itself. And I went as many times as possible. I reached out to Melissa as many times as possible. And it was a great experience with you bringing her for national season, because then I really got to build that personal connection with her. And then finally when I went to the recruitment weekend, I was like, okay, that's it. Like, if I don't go here, like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life, because I know that this is my dream. Like, and just the fact that it came true, it's still, like, it's just crazy to me. Every time I watch the video of her coming to our school, I cry.
And that was so
still
cool.
To this day.
That really was so cool.
I'm so grateful, and I feel like I'm so blessed because not a lot of coaches do that for their dancers. So the fact that I was one of them, it makes me feel so special. And yeah, that was like the best day of my life.
Yeah, that was very, very special. I mean, when Melissa called and said she was going to, come and do that, I was floored, because I was like, how incredible is that? That, that's so special to go out of your way to fly all the way to Miami, because it's not like if we're right down the street.
Yeah.
And that's something so cool. So I think that you're very lucky. But you've also earned it. Not everybody is as hardworking as you are. And I think that that's something that kids need to know, that, if this is something that they want to do, it wasn't just handed to you. It wasn't like, here you go, Nicole, you're going to Ohio. It was something that you set your mind to, and you were like, I'm going to do this. And you never look back. Like you worked super hard every day. You stuck to studio. You were doing all your studio things. You gave up your social life many times because you were so focused on this is what I want to do, which everybody doesn't do that. So hats off to you because you're young and everybody doesn't understand at that age having to work hard and that work ethic. And I think that Melissa saw that. She saw, not only were you super talented, but you were such a hard worker, always trying to better yourself. And that's what coaches want on a team. They want the dancers who are always going to be working hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of sacrifice, too. Like, a lot of people don't see this behind the scenes, but I take my family into consideration, too, with, like, how I'm spending my time and my money, because it's a very big financial burden on my family to be going out of state for all these different colleges I want to visit, and just so many times. So I had to give up a lot to pursue this path.
Yeah, no, and even that goes, Ohio's not an inexpensive school, so it's, but that's something that the kids have to also realize is that you have to do your research and not just, okay, how do I get into a school, but how am I going to pay to get into the school? Like, especially if you're coming from out of state, that the cost is a lot higher. What am I going to do? What scholarships are out there? How much can I actually afford? Do I have prepaid college? Is there scholarship money? Like all those things, because people don't realize that dance teams aren't like, athletes, like football athletes, they offer you, here's a full ride to the school. Like, no matter how great you are, you still have to pay for college. So,
and you said something really important at the beginning of the episode, that you did the research on the school itself too. Mm-hmm. You saw, I know you said you spoke to professors, you went to the school, toured the school, you looked into what it was going to do for your future. And I think that's so important, that a lot of dancers tend to forget. And you mentioned it, that, people are looking, they just go to UDA and they say, I just want to be on that team, where especially if you're going to put so many eggs in one basket, or in going to a school like Ohio State, LSU, UCF, whatever it is, those schools aren't inexpensive schools, and they're not. So if you're going to spend the next 4 years at this school, you need to love what you're doing there. You need to love the school, and you are also the school's biggest cheerleaders. You're part of the Spirit program. So if you don't love the school that you're going to, you shouldn't be going to that school. You might love the team, but you never know when that opportunity is going to be.
And at the end of the day, that's kind of one of the biggest reasons I picked Ohio State, because I had this great opportunity for UCF, LSU, and all these other schools, but at the end of the day, it was just like the school in itself, because every single team was amazing in their own way, but just like the environment at Ohio State, the school spirit that they have, it's unmatched. It's unlike any other school I've ever been to.
It's going to be so cool. I can't wait to go see football games.
I'm so excited.
I'm already planning. So you're going to there's hundreds of kids who want to know what should they do. If you had certain advice to give to a dancer who is, my goal is to get into Ohio State, and they're a freshman in high school, what is your advice to them?
Okay, because, well, first of all, don't put your eggs just into Ohio State or whatever basket you want to put it into. You have to try out every school, because that was a hard thing for me to shake at first, because that was like the first school I went to. I fell in love with it right off the bat, and I was like, why would I even look at any other school if I love this one so much? Why is it worth it to look at any other school? But really exploring every single option, even if it's like not just dance team, but exploring the industry. Like I just recently went to Pittsburgh, and I saw the conservatory style of dance, and I loved it, but I was like, oh, this isn't for me. So just making sure that you try every single thing that you can to like compare and make sure that like the thing that you want is really what you want and really what's going to set yourself up for success in the future, to really like prioritize that.
And then once they do all this, because something like Pittsburgh, that was a cool experience you got to do, but that's, not something everybody could do, because you did it, through Coral Reef, and it was a special thing. But going to studio conventions, things like that, some dancers don't realize, they take it for granted if their studio takes them. It's like, oh, another convention. Like not realizing sometimes how important that is to get to where you are. So I know like that's something that I would always tell you guys is, it's an audition. I mean, you're there with 500 kids. Why are you standing out? Why are they going to give you a scholarship? Going to, something like Jump, like Nouveau, like Intrigue, you're learning how to stand out. And when you went to the Tribe event, because you're a convention kid that you've been going to conventions forever, you knew how to stand out. So I think that that's so important, that kids know that you've got to practice standing out, practice that improv,
Absolutely.
dress the right way, like know your audience. You know, like when you would go to the Ohio State clinics, I'm sure you were wearing red and black.
I mean, of course, I had to make sure that they saw me in the colors to kind of see like, oh, like put me into perspective as like, or like putting me at like in the shoes of someone on the team. Like, does she fit in with the girls? And like that's something that I've noticed a lot of colleges do, is that they'll do call out groups and then they'll stick in some of the girls on the team to dance with us and see if we flow together well with them.
Which is so cool because you're going to be dancing together.
Yeah.
So, and that must be so cool too as a dancer to like dance next to, you know, these amazing dancers in Ohio. Like you've been watching them and you see them at nationals, and you know, like someone like Marley that's there, you know, you look at her and you're like, oh my gosh, she's impressive, like everything that she does, and then you know, she's standing right next to you dancing.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So that's a cool experience.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that you got to experience all that and that you were able to compare, so that your decision was a decision that was best for you. I think that Melissa's very lucky. She's going to love having you on the team, and she's going to...
Hopefully.
And I think that it also opens eyes to people in Miami, because here in Miami, we don't have that many kids who want to go away and you know, try all these dance team programs. You know, so far when we have FSU right there, you have UCF right there, you know, even LSU is right there, Alabama's close by, but you're going nice and far. So I think it's so cool that, you know, now the kids are opening their eyes and seeing, wow, you know, we could do this. This is something that, you know, is feasible for Miami kids. And I know that Tribe has been a huge part of getting that happening. So, and even your kids have.
Yeah, they've all started branching out. I mean, I think my first kid that went to any school was Vivi, and it was her going to Ohio. And I mean, I started traveling with some of them, and it was so impressive going to see all these different schools and going to the different schools and seeing the different team cultures. I think that that's a huge thing too, that like for dancers, how they fit into the team culture, and how they kind of adapt and fit into like with the team.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the goal is don't give up. You know, there's the place for you is there. You know, if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. Like with you, that you were like, it was New World, Coral Reef, and you know, you ended up coming to Coral Reef, you had a great experience, and now you're going to, you know, a dream school. So, you know, everything was meant to be, and it wrote out that way for you. You know, you stuck to it. You were focused. You know, you made your choices, and you know, that's important that people understand that those are things that you have to do if you really want something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think starting early. You want to start early and look into these schools early. Never think you're starting that early. I remember going to some of these clinics and seeing freshmen in high school there. Actually, there was one clinic that I went to that there was a 7th grader.
No way.
And I was like, wow.
I thought that they had to be in high school ready to go to the clinics.
I actually think it might have been Ohio. I could totally be wrong, but there was a 7th grader there, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. In the Ohio summer camp, there was middle schoolers, and I even think they have some clinics for elementary kids as early as that.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know if that one's the same weekend or if it's separate, but I do remember that there were some young kids there. And I mean, listen, start as early as you want.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's no wrong way to do that. But yeah, I think getting your exposure out and getting the coach to know you too, and sometimes having them give the feedback also, so that when you come back, they see your progression little by little. So I think that's always a really positive thing to do.
Yeah, because I technically started late. Like junior year, for people who have been in dance team for forever, they're like, wow, how did you just started? Like, how do you not know this and this? But so I think that starting freshman year, already looking at colleges, and even like end of freshman year, beginning of sophomore year, visiting these colleges is so important.
Yeah, and the recruitment process has changed a lot. 10 years ago, before COVID, it wasn't like it is now. It was very different. It was, you would go for an audition weekend. Like they would have an audition, and you would go and you would audition. You had to have been accepted to the school, and then you went and you auditioned for the dance team. And then, there was video submissions, but you never want to, send in a video submission if you really want to get into a school. So a couple of years, I judged the FSU dance team auditions, and it was so much later in the year. I wanted to say it was like sometime in April, and it was exactly that. Everybody had to have been accepted to FSU, or they had to have been going to TCC. Like you could go to TCC for 2 years, and it was a huge audition, and they learned their combo, and then they got cut. And I remember part of the audition was, they would make the dancers stand in a straight line, and we would score them on like the game day look. So, did they look like game day girl? And, they got a score on that. And then they did the game day palm routine, and then they got scored on that. So it was a whole process that happened a whole weekend long. So a lot has changed. And I know that some schools still do it like that. But I think that a lot of them have gone into that recruitment of, having the weekends and having the kids go out there and spend a whole weekend there and kind of like, taking time picking their dancers, which is, it's great. At the same time, it's stressful for you.
Yeah.
I do also like that colleges now do the whole, like once they start recruiting you, I like that they have like a day in the life with you too. Not just to sell you on the school, because I know that's the majority of what they're trying to do, but I think it also gives you an opportunity to see what a day in the life is for them too. So it kind of gives you a better way to compare each of the schools. So I think it does, for colleges, it does a service to them, but I think it does a big service to the girls that are going through the recruitment.
Yeah, no, and that you kind of get that real feel of, okay, do I really want to be on the field? Because it's not just about nationals.
Yeah.
And that's, some people don't understand that nationals, that's a great thing, but most school dance team, number one is that school spirit and that game day kind of, feel like the football games, the basketball games, the school events, the alumni events, that you're a really, really big part of that. And it's a lot of the work that you have to do behind the scenes that you don't even realize it. Like you have to give up things like, tailgating your college, your first college years. You're not going to be tailgating. You're not going to be hanging out there during the football games. You are a performer. You're going to be on that field. So does everybody really want that? Like, you've got to make that choice. And that's, that's more important to me than that social aspect of, being out there with my friends and having fun and doing that. Yeah, you're going to have your fun, but it's a different fun.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're going to, national championship team that, how cool is that if you get to be there while they win a national championship and, like this year that Ohio, right after nationals, off they went to the game and you get to be a part of that. That's so cool. Yeah. So, there's things, there's, plus and negatives to everything. But I think that what a great experience you're going to have, in your college years.
I'm so excited.
And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but did the thought ever cross your mind of, do I really want to do dance team? I have a fear of missing out on all of those other things in college. And if you did have that fear, what is it that made you make that final decision of, no, I don't care to do the tailgates every weekend. I don't care to, do all of those things. I want to be part of the Ohio State dance team.
From day one, I never really considered that, because dance has always been my number one thing in life, and I can't imagine my life without it. So I never really thought I would get the dance or the college experience without dance. I feel like for me, that's the kind of experience that I want, is like through the dance and through the teams and performing at the games and all that. I can't imagine my life without dance, so that never really crossed my mind. The only thing that really did was like if I wanted to do dance team or the dance industry, which I feel like is a big battle for like dancers my age these days, is them deciding what kind of realm of dance they want to pursue. Because at first I wanted to go to New World, I wanted to do maybe conservatory dance or follow my brother's footsteps and perform for artists and stuff. But then when I went to Reef and I was exposed to Tribe and all these different colleges, I knew it was the right fit for me.
And let me ask something. Your brother, tell us a little bit about him and his journey. Because he, you told me he was homeschooled.
Yes.
And then where did he go to college?
He went to Pace University for 4 years.
And he studied at in Focal Point, right? He trained in Focal Point, and then he went off to Pace. And then what was his journey like after that?
After that, then he stayed in New York. He went to LA during COVID, but that didn't work out for him. He came back to New York, and then finally he moved to LA full time. And now he's auditioning for a bunch of different artists all the time, performing at different award shows and in movies. Like he was in Mean Girls musical, which is super cool to like watch him experience all this. And he's just been like the most inspiring person that I've looked up to. Like,
and how cool for your mom, because she's has him doing this route and now you doing this route. So that's cool for your mom to watch both routes happen.
Something in your blood that's just so strong.
And my mom never thought I was going to do dance team after high school. She was like, okay, so she kind of had my plan set for me. Like, I wasn't going to go to South or anything. I was going to a charter K through 8. Then I was going to go to Lourdes or a private school, and then do a school in Florida. And she never thought dance was ever in the cards for me either. Like, she did have faith in me, but at the same time, she was kind of like, oh, it's not very practical. Like, my mom is a very, like, yes, I support you, but also you have to weigh out all your options, because dance it's a very hard career to get into. But you guys talked about it from before, like in one of your past podcasts, that there's so many different ways to incorporate dance into your career that some people like don't understand, that they think like there's only one way. If you can only dance until you're like 30 and then that's it, your body's done, and there's no other way to do it. But you can teach, you can coach, you can start a studio.
Start a podcast.
And I guess my mom is very practical, and she's very supportive, but she was like, is that really something you want to do? Especially like after my brother, he was so successful in it. I guess she was kind of scared that I wouldn't be, just because like she was kind of comparing, like, I mean, he's a boy, like he had so many different experiences going through, like all the way up into high school. He was on the Miami Heat junior team when they had that. He went to many different studios. He went to, when he was little, before he attended Focal Point, when he was around like 15, 16, he went to a studio that was like just hip hop. Yeah, which is super cool. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like hip hop.
No, he actually loves hip hop. That's like one of his favorite styles.
I believe that.
He's so contemporary and such a, like, you know, artistic.
He has that swagginess to him, though. We're planning on having him here soon, so I'm excited to talk more about that hip hop.
When is it that you're bringing him to choreograph for you?
So he will be coming in May.
So are you going to help him again?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I mean, if he wants me again, I don't know how I did last year, but
I think you did great.
Oh, thank you. I would absolutely love to.
Yeah, it's a great like way for you to, you know, connect with the choreography world that you're so good at, and in your last little, you know, hurrah before you leave to Ohio.
You know, and I think that's something that's really cool about you and your journey, is that you've never sold yourself short on, you know, I don't know if I want to do this, so maybe I won't. You know, I think that that's a big thing that a lot of dancers these days do, is that they hold themselves back because they feel like, you know, maybe I won't do dance team in college because I don't know if I'm a dance team dancer. You know, maybe I won't go into choreography because I don't think that I'm a good choreographer. Like, you educated yourself on everything and gave yourself the opportunity to go out, explore, you know, do your research, and then that's what drew you finally to come to the place that you're at now. And I think dancers holding themselves back is really keeping them from expanding in their dance journey, making them stop, you know, early on and not getting that exposure of how can I make this a career potentially, or even just a side job. You know, we can be dancing or in the dance world forever if we really wanted to, and if we gave ourselves the opportunity to try and fail.
Absolutely. And Andrew was like a big factor in my dance career. He was honestly the one who inspired me to continue it, because I talk to him all the time, because he's like just the best brother ever, and he's been super supportive throughout this whole process. And he really encouraged me, like, if I had any sort of feeling that I may be drawn to a dance team or the industry or anything, like anything, even not dance, to go for it, because then you never know, like, what happens. If I hadn't gone for Southwood dance team, I would have never known about Reef. If I had never known about Reef, then I wouldn't have gone for Ohio State.
There you go. It was meant to be for you, no doubt. Okay, before we close out, tell us your favorite dance team memory.
Favorite dance team memory?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Probably my senior year UDA, winning double national championships. But not even that. It was just like the experiences leading up to it. We had a crazy year that you talked about in one of your past shows, that it was a rocky road. We all got sick, and we had a million dances before the last one finally hit the UDA stage. But just like that crazy experience, I'll never forget. And it was surrounded by like the most amazing people.
It's a lot of growth that happens throughout the year on dance team.
Absolutely.
And I think that I think every dance team has their own unique experiences, but the growth you go to from the first day that you start together till the last day that you're there at competition, it's very unique. And I think that you guys had a great experience this year, and even with game day, we had a great experience. I thought that was so much fun.
We are completely different dancers and people from the beginning of the year to the end.
Completely, which, that's one of the things that I feel like, choreographers come in early in the year and the team that they choreograph on is a totally different team from what ends up on nationals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's, not just technical wise, but you guys mature as the year goes by. You're really growing up, so it's a whole different team at the end, and that's so cool to watch you guys go through all that. So yeah, great memories. And I think that that game day was just such a fun dance for you guys to do, that it kind of gives you that little bit of like breathing, like it's not the stress that jazz and hip hop is, for even though it should be, because we've never won there, but it's not the same stress. It's more of like a fun experience. So it's nice that you guys get to do that, and it gets you ready for college, because now you got a little palm in you.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
ready for you.
Are you excited to do palm? You're gonna leave that hip hop in the back burner and move on to
That's
palm?
like the saddest thing about like going onto a team that doesn't do hip hop. I mean, they do hip hop on game days, and they have master classes. Like Sammy just recently went, so hip hop will still be in my life, but that's the saddest thing that I'm giving up. But I am super excited for Palm, because it kind of has like a little hip hop aspect, especially because Carson, she's like so well rounded, and she has like a lot of like hip hop style in her Palm. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, you gotta take some Palm privates.
Oh, I'm gonna need them. That's for sure.
And how exciting, you get to work directly with Carson now. They're like doing choreography with her. That must be so exciting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that is gonna be cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for being here and giving us all your insights on getting ready for a college dance team. So I'm sure that, people could find you on Instagram and they could DM you if they have any questions or if they need a little bit of guidance.
Absolutely.
Because now you're kind of like a little expert now, so you could guide people.
You've done it all.
I have.
You've gone through a lot of colleges.
And we look forward to seeing you there at Ohio on the field. We're going to be looking out for you, and then at nationals for sure.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we loved it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for joining us on our latest episode of B.A.Showoff, the Dance Lifestyle Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram. And if you have any feedback for us, feel free to click on our link tree and fill out our Google form.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you.
Bye.